All right, I watched a little bit of this, about a minute, and I was like, okay, I have to wait to watch this with the fam. This is a really cool video done by a guy named, thank you, Astro, for that subscription, coming in like a boss at the beginning of this. You beast of a man, you. Feeling that love. He's only got 1.3 thousand subscribers, so fairly new, and I liked his style. And his video is entitled "Why Star Citizen's Years in Development Aren't as Important as You Think." And that's one thing that we always hear in the Star Citizen community, or just in the game development community. The people that are involved with the project is taking so long, it's taking so long, it's taking so long. So he's got a pretty interesting take on this. So let's watch this together and see what we think about this video.
What if I told you that the number of years Star Citizen has spent in development isn't nearly as important as some people would like to think it is? Because having a conversation on the internet about a polarizing issue always goes well. So let's do that. It doesn't matter the topic of conversation. When it comes to Star Citizen, you don't have to scroll too far to find comments that look like this. In essence, there's some variation of how spending 10 years and $350 million on development is a sure sign the whole thing's doomed. It's repeated so often now that no matter how much some people want to believe otherwise, it's not a concern we can dismiss out of hand. Part of the core of this point of view is the sunk cost fallacy.
Right. Now, sunk cost fallacy is kind of like a habitual thing. It's where people continue to spend on something, and because they've spent on something so long, they feel like they just keep spending because that's what they want to do. But I've always particularly thought that that was a bit flawed, because a lot of the people that are spending the money are fine with what they're playing. Like a fallacy would mean that the game isn't a game. And like, you know, for most of us right now, we are happy, even with all the 30Ks and with the things that are happening with Star Citizen, you know, granted, yes, it is frustrating sometimes, but a lot of us are happy with the ships. A lot of us are happy with what we're into. A lot of us love the community. A lot of us know that we've seen progress, you know. So like the sunk cost fallacy in my mind is a fallacy into itself a bit. I have a great interview I did with Bucha about sunk cost Galaxy, which is a great series, by the way. You know, a lot of people think Bucha is like a negative dude, but he's a really nice dude. And he does a lot of research on the financial side of things that I respect. And, you know, like he does have a little bit of that goon background, and he can get a little bit crazy, you know, but like, you know, in my mind, like he is a really nice dude. He just, you know, was a VC, he was a venture capitalist, and he got involved very early on. And, you know, he feels like he got burnt because of the amount of time that it takes. So this is a really interesting video. Let's keep going.
Which means people just continue with something because we've already spent money on it, despite it leaving us unhappy, worse off, or otherwise just being pointless. It's kind of like getting massively discounted gig tickets, only to find out that the only hotel available in the area is the most expensive one, then having to get a flight because your car breaks down. There comes a point where you just need to cut your losses and accept that it's no longer worth it. And there's a long period of Star Citizen's history where it would be easy to argue that. Before we were able to rent or buy ships with in-game currency, if you had a starter package and you wanted to do trading or experience bigger missions or multi-crew gameplay, your only option was splash some cash or rely on the generosity of strangers. And if this is you and how you feel about Star Citizen, then just stop spending money. But where the idea of the sunk cost fallacy...
Boom. I say that all the time. And I think what you see is a lot of disgruntled people who've spent way more than their means. I see this all the time, that a lot of people that are very upset with Star Citizen are people that put way too much money that they wish that they had back. That was their choice. They decided to do that. You know, be responsible, be an adult, put on the big boy pants, you know.
...policy falls down is for people like myself and the backers for whom it's not so obvious that we're worse off.
Right.
If we're enjoying the game, enjoying the ships that we've bought, it's no longer a fallacy.
Boom. 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 That is that I agree with this dude 110%. This guy is this guy needs some love. I'm going to put the link to this guy's channel down below. Drinkers with gaming problems. Great channel name. I will put the link down. Go tell him that DG sent you. When I send this off to YouTube, make sure you guys do go down there. Check his channel out. Let's keep watching. It's not a fallacy. It's exactly what I just said. It's not a fallacy for those that are actually happy with what they've spent versus what they're playing. Uh-oh, Christy's messaging me.
But that statement, 10 years and
right, responsibility, fat,
is not a ringing endorsement of, well, anything. But it's not much more than a surface analysis either.
Yeah.
I know it's pretty much standard now for Star Citizen to be compared to Red Dead Redemption 2, but I'm still going to use it because there's so much info.
Thank you, Antonio. Thank you, Antonio, for that professional subscription to DG360. Thank you, dude. Good to see you, man. Good to see you, dude.
Red Dead 2's development cost, time, and studio. That it's
I'm warning you.
Oh!
Woo!
Next time, it's gonna be glass.
Antonio going Bruce Lee DG on that. Thanks for those gifting moments, man. Thank you for the gifts, dude.
Accurate parallels. We know that Red Dead 2's development started prior to the original game's release back in 2010. But as the sequel was released in 2018, let's just call it an even 8 years in development. And here's the important conclusion. If Rockstar only had 468
we did that story, Antonio, this morning,
working on Red Dead Redemption 2, it would have taken them over 24 years to get that game out as it is today. That's a release date of
That's what I was like, wow. That is amazing. That comparison there, it would have taken 24 years to get Red Dead out under the same circumstances. That's amazing. That's cool. That's cool.
Why? Because if you have only a third of the staff, it's going to take you 3 times as long to do the same work.
Maybe. I don't know. Like, I always say it's not the number of people. I say it's the quality of people. So I slightly might disagree with the estimation on the time there. But I see where he's trying to draw the correlation. See, my mind is of the nature that it's not about the number of people or that you keep throwing at a problem. It's about the quality of the people. It's about the type of person that you put in the job. You could have one guy that has the knowledge of 7 and has the ability to do, 3 times the amount of work as another person, So I'm not quite agreeing on that comment, but I get where he's coming from, and I understand why he's drawing that correlation.
Rockstar's 1,600 devs, working 37 hours a week each, tops out at over 3 million hours a year if you don't give anyone any holiday. If you tried to do that with 468 devs, that's 126 hours a week, or 18 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you want to get ridiculous and try that with the 10 devs CIG had back in 2012, 845 hours a day. So, yeah.
Right,
not
Shikuku.
even possible. Because projects aren't managed solely in terms of years, they're measured primarily in terms of man-hours, which is precisely...
In terms of man-hours, yes, I get where he's coming from. But again, it's not like how hard you work. It's how effective you are at your work. That could also reduce man hours as well. That's one thing that I've always talked about within Cloud Imperium is like the management, how people are being applied to the problems that exist in the project. I always talk about that. That is really, really important because that can wipe out the amount of employees you need. That can wipe out the amount of expenses that you have. And that can also wipe out the amount of man hours that you need to finish the project. I always talk about that. My fam is tired of hearing me talking about that.
Precisely why I said right at the start, the number of years in development isn't as important as you might think. I mean, I haven't even mentioned yet that CIG wasn't an established studio back in 2012. They were working out of a basement, having to build the company from the ground up
Sounds
at the
familiar.
same time as starting development. They didn't have 468 devs every year. They started with 10. And yes, they will have more in 2021 now, and we don't know what they had in 2020 because we haven't had the financial report yet, but I can guarantee it's not going to be the 1,600 staff that Rockstar had. Now, if you believe that 10 years is far too long a time for any game to spend in development, regardless of the reason, that's completely reasonable, completely support you on that. But if you think that CIG should have achieved something close to completion in the time that they've had available, that just isn't realistic, given how much more ambitious Star Citizen is to the game that we've compared it to. It's not realistic at all. A sensible question then would be, well, if the equation's that simple, why the hell didn't CIG just hire a bunch more devs and get on with the game? The answer to that is in how it's funded. Conventional crowdfunding gives us a finite pot of money. When our campaign is over, the money we have is what we have to work with. It defines everything: the size of the studio, the scope of the project, and how long you can push things until, well, you need to release the game. No one predicted the crowdfunding success of Star Citizen, so when
No one did. Absolutely no one would have guessed. I mean, it's record breaking. It's over 350 million right now. And you know, like, the reason why, it's just really, it has to do with no limits. It has to do with the fact that it's offering to be the game. The promise is that this will be a game with no limits. And, you know, I think that for the most part, Chris and Cloud Imperium are staying true to that. That's why I got so emotional about this PvP drama. I'm talking about, like, you know, things that are happening in the verse, as it were. All these problems people are having with, you know, griefers and PvPing and stream sniping, and you can go to the channel and check out my views on that. For the most part, I will say that when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, a lot of those problems that people are having with that are going to be taken care of by the actual game mechanics, by system security. When the most important problem in the project being stability, the server stability, server issues, when this problem is fixed, it's going to be huge for the game. I actually have a lot of faith and confidence in a gentleman named Chad McKinney, and I really think he's going to tackle the server issue problem. And I really think that it's going to be something that they will answer. And I believe it's a hurdle that they will jump over. It's just going to take some time. When they do, that's going to open up the game huge. And it's going to, you know, you're going to see a lot of people not really have any argument to stand on after that. It is the number one argument of people that are negative on the project, is like, it won't ever happen because of server issues. And you know, right now, absolutely, they're right. They're absolutely right. But that doesn't mean that they're not going to be able to solve these problems. And it is the number one issue. And that's why I'm always telling people in this community to say stability, to take that word and spread it around to other communities and say stability. It always has to be that. It has to come down to that. Once that is solved, you're going to see things open up, and you're not going to have anybody who's on the other side of this argument and that are naysayers have, like, really an argument to stand on other than the business model. And right now, like, you know, when it comes to the business model, we just did a story about how they're expanding. You know, the revenues are very healthy. In terms of financial health, I would like to see them post a profit. I've talked about that a lot. But in terms of the revenue that they're bringing in, it's phenomenal. 350 million. And because people are enjoying what they're playing. And the best point was made early on in this video about the sunk cost fallacy. and how that in itself is a fallacy, because the people that are putting money in are enjoying it for the most part, except for those people that are upset that it's not out already and that have put in more than that they can handle financially. And that's why you'll see a lot of people that are bitter, and that's why you'll see, the Reddits for the refund, the Star Citizen refund Reddits. That's why you're going to see that. What's up, Mosquito? How you doing, buddy?
When they started out, they had all of this in mind. A smaller studio, smaller staff, smaller aspirations, because they were expecting their crowdfunding to dry up. But as things entered the third year of development, it became clear to CIG that their crowdfunding wasn't slowing down. It was doing the exact opposite. And from a business perspective, this changes everything. Absolutely everything. Now, it's not crowdfunding in the conventional sense. Now it's a revenue stream that redefines studio size, project aspirations.
Right, we know all this. He's kind of just reiterating a lot of things that we already know here. And Shikuku's like, hey, man, I put $60 and I'm fine with it. Antonio's like, hey, I put $11K in. I have no regrets. See, there are different levels to what people are putting down based upon their own income, based upon what they can afford. They're adults. They make this choice. They make the choice. But there are a lot of people out there that are putting way too much that they can't afford. And these people get angry and these people get bitter. And that's why, you have a lot of kickback on this project, because people are upset that they can't get a hold of their money that they put in that they couldn't afford in the first place, because they need to be adults and put on their big boy pants, for God's sake. Everything's so crazy these days, man. It's like, they made the decision to do it knowing that it was a pledge, right? They knew that they were supporting the project. They knew all the strings that came attached with it. Just read. All it takes is reading. All it takes is reading. If you're going to put that kind of cash down, then please, for God's sake, would you just look at all the terms? Would you look at what you're doing? Would you grow up and be an adult? And realize what it is that you're doing. So anyway, this video is kind of like just going to reiterate a lot of the things that we already know, but I think it's definitely worth checking this dude out. Drinkers with Gaming Problems. Wonderful channel name. He brought up some really good points in the beginning about the sunk cost fallacy. I will put this on the YouTube channel after I've edited it together into a wonderful professional product and put it out there for everyone. Thank you everybody for watching this video, and let's get back to the live stream. By the way, you guys got to make it here live. DG360 is brought to you by our amazing patrons and YouTube membership. Become one today and get full access to monthly giveaways, the exclusive DG360 Podcast, members only posts, IRL Vlogs, badges, Emoticons, VIP Discord chat, and so much more. How much more? Every single member of this community is awesome. They're like family. In fact, I'm going over to their house for dinner tonight. Thank you for your support and your consideration.